Hello, my friends. It's Kim over at Life Prepared, and I have something really exciting for you. I wrote to Chef Glen over at backpackingchef.com, and he gave me permission to show you his way of making what he calls pumpkin bark. Now, this is dehydrated pumpkin that you can rehydrate into a pumpkin pie like pudding, or I have used it to actually make a pumpkin pie, and it is really good. It is so easy, and you will not believe how easy this is, okay? So what I want you to do is, I'm going to put his link down below directly to this recipe, because I'm not going to tell you at the end how much of the powder to use versus water, because I want you to go to his website, okay? It's only fair. He has some excellent books, all kinds of recipes, and a newsletter where he sends out only one time a month, and you can get some really good recipes. Now, the reason why I'm excited about this is because, you know, we put those 72-hour kits together with the food, and they're rather heavy. And I remembered back when I was doing a lot of backpacking, I would go to Chef Glen's website, backpackingchef.com, and I would look at some of his recipes. And you can dehydrate pasta sauce, and you just name it. He tells you if you want to dehydrate something like ground beef or chicken or turkey, even shrimp. He has plans on how to do that. So you guys really need to go check it out, okay? In the meantime, I'm going to show you how crazy easy this recipe is. And you do need a dehydrator, but you could do it in your oven if you have a pilot light like I do. Otherwise, I think it might be a little warm, but I do know a lot of the air fryer / toaster ovens, they have a dehydrate section as well. So if you have one of those, check it out. If it goes down to 135 degrees, you're all set. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using. It's fairly inexpensive. It's called a Nesco. This is my dehydrator. It does have a dial, so I can set the temperature here, 135 degrees. Okay, and there are 5 trays in here, and that is what they would call, it's from an old one that I had, a fruit roll tray. So you can use something like that, or parchment paper, or other silicone mats, which I think I'm going to order for this. So you need some kind of dehydrator. So let's get on with what we need for this recipe. It's only 3 items, you guys. All right. So remember, I cook my own pumpkin in the crock pot. I will post that down below as well. And you're going to need 1/4 cup of, you want pure maple syrup as much as possible. According to Chef Glen, it just makes your results come out better. So if you have any, you know, 1/4 cup's not too bad. I happen to make my own, but it is what it is. And then pumpkin pie spice. That's it. If you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you can use cinnamon, ginger, and I think cloves. Is that the last one? I don't know. Pumpkin pie and apple pie is almost the same. So let me show you how easy this is to whip together. Right, so in his recipe, he does show you how to use this kind of pumpkin, but you're going to use 1 can of plain pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie filling, plain pumpkin. Mine measured out, it's a little less than 2 cups. 2 cups equals 16 ounces. Those cans are 15. I'm just using 2 cups, okay? Make it easy on myself because I have a lot of pumpkin to go through. Worst case scenario, I have to freeze it until I get home. Next week, I'm going to be gone. My mom's having surgery, so I'm going to go take care of her. If I have to freeze it, I don't care. I can do it anytime during the winter. So I'm going to dump in my maple syrup. Yum, yum. And then you need 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Now, I have to admit, I like mine pretty strong, so I add a little extra. Okay, but 2 is what Chef Glen calls for. I'm going to put 3. I mean, 2.5, because this is a half of a teaspoon. That's it. That's the recipe, you guys. You're going to stir it up really well. Let me get my whisk out here. Probably be easier. Now, my pumpkin's a little thicker. It depends on how thick you make it is how long it's going to take to dehydrate. So don't worry if, mine gets done later or sooner than yours. I knew what I was going to do with it, so I made sure I got a lot of the water out of it. Oh, today's the first day of autumn and it smells just like it to me. All right, that's it. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to move a couple things out of my way because it's crowded in my kitchen today. You want to put it on your tray or your parchment paper, whatever it is, and you just want to, I'm using a cake offset spatula. You don't have to. You can use whatever you have around the house, and you want it about 1/8 of an inch thick, okay? If I have anything lumpy in there that looks like a seed, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to continue to spread this out until I get it, fairly even. He said about 1/8 of an inch. If you get a little bit thicker, it's just going to take longer to dry. That might be a little thicker. I don't know. 1/8 of an inch is hard for me to tell when it's flat. But I'm going to put another dollop on there. Boy, quite a few seeds in there that I missed, which it doesn't bother me. I just pick them out. I'm going to continue to spread this out. Simply, I'm going to do all of my trays. The next ones are going to have parchment paper, so I won't be able to leave it flat like this. I'll put it on my tray to spread it. Makes it a little more difficult, but that's okay. I don't care. And there you go. So I'm going to load up my trays, and before I turn it on, I will give you a quick peek. And then once we get going, you're going to set this. I started to say it, and I keep talking too much. Set it at 135 degrees. It's going to take 5 to 6 hours or so to get the top all the way dry. And then you want to flip it over. So it's going to be stiff. You might need a different piece of parchment paper, or this I probably flip onto a parchment paper. And then you dry it probably another 4 to 5 hours. So you're going to go, up to 12 hours on this. Depends on how thick you make it. All right, I just about have my trays loaded, but you can see I spread it out. And I did a second batch. I don't know if my trays are larger or if I spread it thicker. I don't know. So it was the equivalent of 2 cans of pumpkin puree, just so you know, on mine. And this one may or may not have gotten melted in my oven when I forgot it was in there once, so the top rack doesn't fit perfect. But now it's just a matter of putting my lid on. I've already set the temperature, right? And like I said, it doesn't fit perfect because, yeah, you don't put something on there that you forget and put it in your oven because it wasn't completely dry and you wanted to go to bed and then make a pizza the next night and pre-warm it and forget about it. So that's it. All you do is plug this one in. You don't have to do anything else with this one. There's no on-off switch. Like I said, it's a pretty simple one, but it works great for what I'm doing. And we'll come back and take a peek after a while and see how everything's looking. Good morning, everybody. I'm working on this pumpkin bark, and I remembered why I stopped using parchment paper. Maybe it's the cheap dollar store stuff, but regardless, it's sticking to my paper. I did fall asleep last night, so I did not flip it the way I should have. And it's taking me a bit of time to work it off the paper. It comes off, but it's sticky on the bottom and too dry on the top. Remember, I was supposed to flip it partway through. So it's going to take me a little bit of extra work on some pieces to get some of this parchment paper off. And it could be that cheap Dollar Tree stuff. I don't know. But after I get this peeled, the back is a little bit sticky yet, while the top is pretty dry. I'm going to put this on new parchment, which won't stick this time. And then I'm going to put it back in my dehydrator for a little while. But, sometimes I get big pieces off and sometimes I don't. It's just going to take me a little bit. It does come off. But I think I'm going to get on Amazon and order me some silicone sheets to put on here. At least they're flexible and they won't stick as bad. I just wanted to show you it can be done. Would you be upset if you did it this way, maybe because it's going to take a lot of extra time. But I just, I show you my mistakes. It is what it is. And I learned a lesson. I'm going to go order me some silicone. In the meantime, I'm going to finish this up. All right, now that I have it all peeled off, I put some fresh parchment down, and I'm going to take my sheets, or the pieces that I have, and you could tell which side is dry because it's more bumpy. See this bumpy here? And then the bottom is shiny, so I'm going to put these back on my trays because I need to get that bottom dry a little bit. It's in some spots it's still a bit sticky. And I don't know if it would have been any easier if I had done it earlier. But I think I remembered why I stopped making fruit leathers on this parchment paper last year, and I never ordered any of the sheets, so I want to continue to do this. I have apples and things to do as well, so I'm going to make sure I get some of the some of the silicone, and like I said, you could tell which side is which. Try not to overlap it too much. A little bit won't hurt because I'll move it around now. And this is going to go back in my dehydrator until I make sure that it is perfectly dry. All right, my friends, I had this in the dehydrator for another 4 hours, and it's getting pretty crisp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool completely. Then I'm going to put it in my Ninja, and I'm going to powder it up a bit. I don't care if it's in like flakes, but I want a little bit smaller pieces. And then I will come back because I want to teach you about conditioning your dehydrated goods so that they don't spoil. And that's an important step, I believe. I've never had an issue with any of my dehydrated goods going soft or moldy or anything like that. And I want to make sure this is the same. So I just wanted you to know I put all my trays onto one. I'm going to let it cool for a good half hour, and then I will move on with the next step. All right, my next step is pretty simple. When it's dry, you should hear it should be a little bit crispy. You can hear them when they hit the bottom there. If in doubt, put them back in your dehydrator a little bit. You could eat them just as is. They're actually delicious. But I want mine so I can turn it into pumpkin pudding or pumpkin pie later. I'm going to put these in here and I'm going to grind them up, and then I'll come back and I'll show you exactly what I got. Okay, now let me tell you really quick, I need to condition this jar. What I do is I put it on my counter and I look to see if there's any condensation at all in this jar. That's why I do it after it's cool. If there's any condensation at all, it goes back in the trays of the dehydrator and it processes for another hour or two. This has to be absolutely dry if you want it to be shelf stable. So there you go. Sounds dry. And it looks pretty good, but keep it on your counter for a few days. Just every now and then, turn your jar around, look, see if there's any condensation at all. If there's none, after a few days, it's good to go. You could vacuum seal it if you want. If you want, you could put an oxygen absorber in there. You could put a desiccant pack in there. I've never done that. I have vacuum sealed them, but I don't do the oxygen absorbers unless it's going to be away for more than a year. And then it'll be shelf stable for you. You want a little pumpkin treat? It's right here. And hopefully it'll last me for a couple of months because I really love pumpkin. But I'm going to probably get this jar nice and full with the rest of my pumpkin. And I know I will be able to enjoy it whenever I want. 4 cups of pumpkin, and it's right about 1 cup when it's dehydrated. It may be a little bit different for you because remember mine was pretty dry, but now I can make either 2 whole pumpkins out of this, or I can make a bunch of pumpkin pudding, which is what I like to use it for because I'm the only one who really eats pumpkin here. And I'm going to finish up the rest of what I have probably when I get home from taking care of my mom who's having surgery. But you guys, please, I'm not going to tell you how to rehydrate it. I want you to go over to Chef Glen's website, backpackingchef.com. I will have the link below. I will direct you directly to the pumpkin. He has hundreds of recipes, you guys. Also, how to put various things together to make meals. Now remember, he's a backpacker, so he takes these on his trips with him. I'm using it not only for backpacking, but I just took 15, probably about 9 pounds worth of pumpkins and turned them into one little half jar that will be shelf stable. So if you have any questions, let me know. If I can answer them, I will. If not, I will direct you to Chef Glen's website. And I want to do a special thank you to Chef Glen for allowing me to show how to do your pumpkin. I really appreciate it. And I hope I could show a couple more recipes because you guys need to go to his website. Please go sign up for his newsletter. If you really like the content, get one of his books. You won't regret it, okay? So I'm going to go and work on some of the vegetables I just bought, and you guys have a wonderful, blessed day.